bad JVL wants to do the crotch chop and tell him to suck it.
What's the crotch chop?
You know, they'll like, ha, 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 suck it, losers. You know the crotch chop. You've watched professional wrestling.
No, I haven't.
Hello, everyone. It's JVL here with my best friend, Sarah Longwell, publisher of the Bulwark. Sarah, happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Yesterday at CPAC, which was once a crazy place, but a crazy place that thought it was serious.
Have you been to CPAC?
Oh, yeah. Back in the bad old days.
Yeah, I also have done. There's like some videos of me if you do a deep dive, you know, in like a sweater I would still wear today. My fashion has not been updated in
like 2000,
20 years.
2001.
Yeah, it's like 2001, 2002, 2003. I was at the think tank where I worked. So it is funny because
ISI, right?
ISI.
Yeah.
So
I would be there not as an attendee, but like
right.
you, like the Weekly Standard would have a booth there or a table or something.
That's right. And so like we had like Whitaker Chambers books, so it was sort of meant to be, you know, serious. Right. It's like the Road to Serfdom and Hayek and whatever. But then I remember being there being like, oh, there are crazy people here. There's always like people covered in pins, and it was I remember if you come up in a specific way through the conservative movement where you think it's all Hayek and Whitaker Chambers, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, these people are lunatics. And I think it took me a while, and then there's a period of time, or for me, right, where I was like, well, those people exist, but they are fringe in the movement.
Yes, same.
And now they're the whole thing.
But anyway, yesterday Elon was there, and the president of Argentina, is that what, Milei?
Yeah, who's undergoing currently like a major crypto scandal.
Seems to be. Seems like things are not going great. But he gave Elon a golden chainsaw, and Elon got on stage with his dark MAGA hat and his T-shirt and his sunglasses inside, which is there a reason that people who often use drugs would wear sunglasses inside? I don't know what that reason would be. Maybe.
So I was on a chain, and I was like, why is he wearing sunglasses inside? And like 6 people at the same time were all like, ketamine, 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 ketamine.
Right. I mean, maybe. Yeah. I'm not, allegedly.
We're just asking questions.
We're just asking questions.
Why the
Elon
sunglasses
Musk has
on stage?
Admitted to using ketamine. And so who knows? Not alleging anything more than that. And, he's like swinging his chainsaw, his golden chainsaw, while, I guess, bragging about ruining the lives of tens of thousands of middle-class Americans. I mean, do you remember Chainsaw Al, the Sunbeam guy? So there was, back in the early 90s, I think, there was a guy, Sunbeam. No. Okay, so Sunbeam, which was a maker of low-end electronics. So if you ever stay in a hotel, like a normal hotel, not a fancy hotel, but like, just your generic Days Inn or whatever, and there's an iron in the closet, that is 9 times out of 10 a Sunbeam iron.
Oh, yeah.
Toasters, like
it's the one that always burns my shirts and leaves like an imprint on them. Yeah.
Yes. So Sunbeam was not always a garbage. Like, it was like a normal American company. And this guy, I couldn't tell you his last name because I just remember him the nickname was Chainsaw Al. He came into the company and absolutely gutted it in order to make it more profitable, and so he shipped a bunch of jobs overseas and laid off tons of people and turned the product into garbage. And he was reviled in America because he was destroying the jobs and livelihoods of, working class people. And now those same working class people are celebrating the guy who self-consciously swings a chainsaw as a symbol of the swath of destruction he is cutting through people. And it's really something. Like, it is like, people think it's funny, but maybe they're not connecting the dots that this is about cruelty. This isn't about fixing the federal government. If you want to fix the deficit, forget government workers. that is this much of the pie. You could fire the entire federal workforce, reduce the entire federal workforce to zero, and still the lion's share of government spending is non-discretionary. That's the problem, right? It's Social Security, it's Medicaid, it's Medicare, it's debt service, like that. If you want to actually do something, that's where you would roll up your sleeves and go to work and try to figure out ways to save the system.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I do think that there are, I think there's real legitimate things you can cut out of the government budget. George and I were doing the pod, the legal pod, and he was talking about how the FTC and the DOJ basically do the same thing. And if you end up with a case that requires either one, basically they flip a coin to see who takes it because it's redundant. And I think that, anybody who came up on the right went through the exercise at some point of going through the federal budget, seeing a bunch of insane things that they spend money on. And this is where the condom lie was a lie, but people believed that it was real because we've seen lots and lots of examples of idiotic ways of spending money. There are agencies that, didn't exist until the last 20 years that I think, could have existed in other, the idea that there's a more efficient way to run the government, I think is real. I think I read your newsletter where it's it always is inefficient. And I think it's yes, there's inefficiencies, but I don't think that there's anything wrong with trying to make the government more efficient, trying to spend tax dollars as efficiently as possible, and having them reflect the priorities of the American people. Now, I do think that part of the problem is that over time, the American people have lost connection with why something like USAID that provides a lot of soft power might be a priority for the American people. They don't see why it could be a priority. So anyway, I don't think, I know why he's doing that. And Milei, whatever that guy's name is, that was his thing, was the chainsaw, right? That's how he got elected, was this idea, and that is a very sort of populist move, because what they're saying is we're going to take better care of your tax dollars. We're going to keep more of your tax dollars with you. And that has become more and more a refrain of the kinds of people who vote for Trump. It's why are we sending money overseas? Why are we giving money to Ukraine? You should keep it all here. There's people here struggling. It's the same reason why they get frustrated with money being given to immigrants who are being shipped here. They're and I just hear it over and over again. We need to take care of our own first. And so I agree with you.
People don't want to take care of our own, though, right? They want to take care of themselves. But don't tell them that hey, we should be giving money back to families with young children in the form of a child tax credit. You heard this in your focus groups, right? The people hated the child tax credit.
Yeah, well, no, that's not true. I think there was criticism of it for not being means tested, because there were people who were I don't need this and I'm getting it, and that strikes me as why the government is inefficient. So it wasn't that they hated it, and so. Anyway, you're always going to get a lot of Americans who are skeptical of the way the money is being spent. And I don't think that is crazy. So anyway, I do think, so he is trying to celebrate with the chainsaw, right? The idea that they are doing this service for the American people of finally, and I think that part plays well with some people, but as we discussed yesterday on the take that we did, Trump's numbers are starting to fall, because if you just cut and you don't improve, what people want more than cuts to the government, people are broadly yes, we should find efficiencies in government, but I think Elon and the chainsaw, this is a good example. He's just getting high on his own supply and doesn't realize that many, many more
metaphorically.
People,
sorry, you mean metaphorically, Sarah.
Yeah, that what people really want,
allegedly and metaphorically.
What people really want is for the economy to be broadly better. They are much less interested in how they that. There is a tech. I don't know. There's definitely a swath of people that cares about the government efficiency, but it is not nearly the extent of people who are just I would like groceries to be cheaper.
Well, good luck, because they're not going to be. That's not how the economy works. If groceries started getting lots cheaper and it was deflation, we would all be very unhappy. But that's okay. I'm happy to taunt these people. Can I read something to you? I'm going to write about this today.
Yeah.
Let me read to you. You ready for story time?
Yes.
One of the laid-off IRS employees, Robert McCabe, told NBC 10 he went into work on Thursday and had issues logging in. He and his coworkers sat around and waited for instructions. He then received the layoff letter shortly before 11:30 a.m. McCabe said he had been a supporter of President Trump prior to the layoff. Quote, "You know, when he talks about government waste and all that, yes, I'm behind it," McCabe said. Quote, "I believe there's a lot of stuff in the government that needs fixing, and that's part of the reason why I actually wanted to work for the government, actually, to help change the things that are wrong in the world, you know? I thought that someone with his business acumen would have come in with a fine-tooth comb and actually found it, instead of coming in with a wrecking ball and destroying people's lives for no reason." Apparently, Mr. McCabe was born 5 minutes ago.
This is going to be your happy place for the next 3 years, is just as people suffer the negative personal consequences of Trump and they talk about it, you are just going to revel in the schadenfreude of their realization.
Well,
hey, can I just say, you're right. The IRS workforce eclipsed 100,000 employees in fiscal year 2024, up from 80,000 at the start of the Biden administration. My goodness. 100,000 IRS agents. Yeesh.
Well, I mean, there's a reason. Catherine Rempel had a thing about this. So with IRS spending, for every dollar they spend on people, they bring in more than $1 in revenue.
Right. I bet that's true, and I bet that's why the Trump administration doesn't want them.
Well, so, right. And I forget Catherine's stat. I'm gonna mangle this, and I'm sorry. This is why it's a secret pod. You can't really hold us to things.
We're just figuring it out right along with you on this one.
But I think at the high end of the audits, you get like $6 in revenue for every dollar you spend on expenses within the IRS. So, and that is like, your top 2% or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it is literally true that the most revenue, if you really just care about revenue, comes from actually auditing the taxes of very rich people. But, why would somebody who cares about government efficiency want that?
Yeah. And also, I mean, they only need just enough agents to go after their enemies. Like, the only people getting audited over the next 4 years.
We're only going to audit 50% of the country anyway.
Yeah.
So we can cut the workforce by 50%. Hey, Sarah, there's more show.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Are we still talking? We have more talking?
We're still talking. The talking goes on. But that's only for the people who are inside the Velvet Rope, the Bulwark Plus members.
Oh, they got to subscribe.
Yeah, tell them to subscribe. Tell the people,
You should subscribe,
Sarah.
Guys. Why wouldn't you subscribe? You get all kinds of things. You get some extra me and JVL. You get some extra me and George Conway. You get JVL's Triad. It's one of the best things the Bulwark offers. I read it at least once or twice a week.
Yes. Go and subscribe. We'd love to have you.